Welcome to the Get Sculpted podcast. We're your hosts, Tiana,
Jordana,
and Marilyn.
This podcast is all about cutting through the noise and giving you the real deal on fat loss, muscle building, and what it really takes to build your 2.0 sculpted self, inside and out. Our motto is to work smarter, not harder. We'll break down science-based and actionable strategies to optimize your metabolism, ditch the diets, and create a sustainable, fit, and healthy lifestyle that actually works for you. So if you're ready to get stronger, not just skinnier, and embrace a body you love, hit that subscribe button and let's get sculpted.
Welcome back to another episode of the Get Sculpted podcast. I'm here with Coach T, Coach Mare, and I am Coach Jordana. And today we've got quite the mindset shakeup for you, because if you are a person that has ever said, I'd love to, but I can't afford it right now, this episode is for you. I have a very personal connection to this because this was what my frame was when I first invested in a coach. And so I really go back to that place sometimes because I was on maternity leave. Joey was working like 14-hour days. While relation of like costs and expenses was different back then, I think everything's generally relative. And it really helped me sit back and think about, what do I really need? What are my priorities? What am I spending money on? And is this the reflection of the life that I want to live? And it helped me really make a change. And so today we're unpacking why investing in yourself always brings the biggest return. Why those Band-Aid fixes like detoxes, supplements, fad programs that you are investing in because they seem less expensive or more accessible right now, they're actually keeping you really stuck. And when I first wrote my very first blog post ever, it said, you are the biggest project you'll ever work on. That was the very first topic. I don't really believe in us as projects anymore, but you're still the best possible investment to build the life and the future that you want. And we want to really break this down for you into 3 main topics today. The first one being how to shift your money mindset. The second being how the Band-Aids can actually be more expensive than the real long-term solutions for you. And the last being how transformation will always pay back to you in every area of your life. So if you have ever said, I would love to, but I can't afford it right now, I really want you to lock and load, listen up, settle in with a cup of tea on your long drive, on your walk. A lot of you love to walk with us and listen. Really open up your mindset to think about, have I been doing this? What can I do differently? And how can I get more out of my life by shifting some key priorities? Girls, anything you want to add before we kick off this episode?
No, I'm excited about this one because we hear this a lot. And I think the 3 of us are actually in the perfect place to be able to talk about this because we've walked the walk. We have invested in ourselves in many different ways, in our fitness, in our relationships, in our business. And every single time the return on that investment has been incredible. So I'm excited to jump into this and let our listeners see how they can unlock that potential for themselves too.
T?
Yeah, and I'm actually excited to be vulnerable with this too, because I wasn't always the best with delegating my money to the right things. And I think it's important to note for the listener that we're not sitting on our high horse saying like, we've always, invested in ourselves in the right way. Like for me, I've definitely spent a lot of my money on partying, on short-lived things, quick dopamine hits, things that were not making me my best self, which I know we'll talk about. But I just wanted to share that with you, that it's never too late to decide that your priorities are different than what they've been.
Yes.
Oh, well said. Love it. So the first lesson is really shifting from a scarcity mindset to investment thinking. Nobody really taught us how to do that. It was just kind of whatever household you grew up in, whatever mindset that was there, you just adopted that. And you carry that forward into everything that you do, and every story that we tell ourselves comes from that frame of reference. And really that scarcity mindset equals, I can't afford it. I can't do that. I am not in a position to be able to do that. I don't know who can do that. This seems so out of reach. And when we think like that, we keep ourselves stuck. Instead, the investment mindset is, what will it get back to me in the long term? How can I make this possible? What do I need to do differently in order to do it? Because we are like, almost 8 billion, maybe more people on the planet. We have 8 billion different ways of living life. But guess what? Those that are living in a certain way that you desire, that's proof that the path is there. And you don't have to be stuck in your circumstances and you don't have to stay there. And this is as somebody, I'm coming from this place where, at one point in my childhood, my family went bankrupt and we lost our home. And that could have told me a very clear story about, no, this is where you live in life. Like, you're in bankruptcy mode. You are in scarcity mode. And I did not accept that even as like a young person. I was like, no way, that's not going to be who I am. I'm going to figure out a different way to live. And I use that life experience as the lesson, as the foundation, as the what did I learn from that and how can I apply it for myself and do things differently? And so the money objection and the way that we think about that, about how we take care of ourselves and priority, is really about where does this fall on the priority list? Because if it's high on the list, that's usually where we're allowed to make that investment. And oftentimes as women, we put ourselves last. And so there's nothing left when it comes to the budget when we give to everybody else and everything else. And I'm not saying don't pay your mortgage in order to invest in yourself. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there's things that we do that are not necessarily the best places. I know for me, one thing that when I decided to make a change for my health, I did like a full life and values audit.
Yes.
How much money am I spending and where? I was doing like probably 2 to 3 binges a week. And when I added up how much money I spent, they were like $30. So it's like almost $100 a week.
Yeah. That was a lot back then.
Yeah. That was a lot back then. That would be like spending $60, $75 now going to buy like chocolate bars and junk food and eating it, like most of it, in 1, maybe 2 sittings. And not only is that not great for my health back then, but like my wallet, like that is not great. Back then, a tank of gas was $30. So it's like, I could fill my gas tank or I could have a binge. Like, this is the choices I was making in those moments. And so having that values audit of what is actually important to me, what is actually the priority that I'm looking at right now, and where does health fall in that list? And what have I been putting my money towards that doesn't support that? And so for me, it was like cutting those binges. It was eating out less. It was making coffee at home. Those were 3 major changes that we made for our health in that moment that saved us money, but also helped us reinvest into ourselves. So the whole idea is that expenses don't take from you. There are ways of looking at investments that are going to pay you back in dividends, whether that's in time, in health, in energy, in other areas of your life, love and happiness. So that's where I really want everyone to come through the frame of mind. If you haven't done a values audit in a while, I really challenge you to sit down for like half an hour and just take a look at...
Use ChatGPT.
You could use ChatGPT. You could sit down with a blank page of paper. You can do it from your bank statement and be like, where am I spending most of my money? And does that actually line up with what's most important to me? And if you see a big gap there, then you know that you're misaligned and it's time for a change. So let's dig into those Band-Aids. T, I would love for you to talk about what happens when there's this misalignment and what do we do about it?
Yeah. So I want to look at the Band-Aids in a broader sense too, because you touched on some really good ones. It's not just the Band-Aids when it comes to fitness. We'll talk about those too, but it's things that give you the quick dopamine hits. And whether we know it or not, we have a certain way of thinking about how we spend. And this is something I had to look at, which we talked about earlier. And whatever your family kind of thought about money is what you end up kind of internalizing unless you make a conscious effort not to. Like, I'll give you a silly little example because I'm going to be flying soon. I remember like Wi-Fi on the plane was like, whoa, we don't buy things on the plane. Like, we don't do that. And then now I'm like, man, this is like $12. Like, I buy Wi-Fi every time now, like without a hesitation, because I'm like, this is well worth it. And like little things, like things you pick up, adding a protein to a meal. Of course, you're paying a lot more for a chicken breast at a restaurant, but I need to have the chicken. So it's things like that that are the priority. Like even having like a cleaner at home because I don't want to waste my time cleaning myself. I personally hate that more than anything. So like I'm buying back my time. That's worth it. So this is what I encourage you guys when you're doing that audit. Now, when it comes to these Band-Aid solutions, this could be things like your unwinding time is going out to eat. And there's nothing wrong with going out to eat or restaurants or things like that at all. But if that's your main hobby and you're doing that every single week, that adds up in the hundreds and hundreds. And it's not only the calories, like you said, Jord, it's also you're saying like, okay, I want to live my life with these experiences where things are very centered around food. And maybe we can reframe that. Maybe you can explore different things that you still get that date night experience and you're still eating something tasty, but that's not kind of the main way you're voting with your dollars. And then when we look specifically at like the fitness stuff, maybe you think like, hey, it's a priority, but it's not something I want to spend a ton on. And okay, let's unpack that a little bit here, because we've heard that before too. It's like, hey, fitness has always been a priority, but I've always just done the 6-week challenges. I'm just doing the beach body because I can't afford it. I'm just doing these Arbonne or whatever those 30-day shake diets are. And then they're always just kind of signing up for these low cost things. But there's actually nothing more expensive than doing things time and time again that you have to keep buying. And then you're never getting the results. And you're not actually, instead of just investing in doing something really well, you're actually paying more and more. And the same thing could be said with clothing too. It's like everyone's talking about capsule wardrobe. What about your capsule fitness? What about investing in, okay, this is how you're going to lift. You're going to learn how to eat for life. You're going to learn the skills and how to fish, not just be given the fish. Whereas these 30-day challenges, it's like, yeah, oh, another meal plan, whoop-de-doo. Go on ChatGPT. Like that's not the hard part. You're paying, $30 a month for this generic app, and you look the exact same a year later. And it's because you think you're saving money, but really you're just wasting time. Is there anything that you'd add to that, or other gimmicks you guys can think of?
I have a personal example. So I have said this time and time again, that all these quick fixes, like you said, T, you'll do them over and over and over, and they look like they're low cost. But when you look at it over time and you see how much you've spent, I'm just using coaching as an example, you've spent the money on coaching like 3-4 times over. So a personal example for me, if you've been listening to this podcast, you know that my past with fitness, before I had the revelation that strong, not skinny is where I wanted to be, was about shrinking myself. So I invested when I was teaching. There was a teacher at school who was like peddling isogenics products. And it was very much like pyramid scheme. I'm putting it out there. And it was like, like, come join my team, order this stuff. So I'm not going to lie, I was very interested because it promised quick results. It promised like dropping pounds, and it was so easy to follow. You just had to like drink this, this, and this, and you would get results. So I thought, hey, I want to be skinny. Like, I want this right now. So I spent the money. Well, guess what? There was like a minimum spend every month. I had to buy product and product and product and product. It didn't work unless I used their product. So now I became completely reliant, and I was spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month on this product. Fast forward to hiring a coach and actually investing in the smart way, I was spending so much less, and the results were so much better, but also sustainable. They were real. And this is what we do with our clients, right? So you might think in the short term that you are saving money by, spending, like $50, $90 on that generic app every month instead of investing in a coach. But you're doing the same thing over and over and over and getting nowhere. So collapse that time. Maybe it's a bit more of an upfront investment, but you're saving so much money. So that's my 2 cents on that, because it was a hard lesson to learn. And I guess I'm glad, but man, did I spend a lot of money that I could have definitely used in better places.
And I just want to add to that too, you're so right, Mare, because not only you get more out of a coach, you time lapse, but also often we save so much money just from auditing your lifestyle when we start with clients.
Yes.
People don't realize with Uber Eats
or coffee.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I like to go out and have my coffee, but not every day.
So do I.
Oh my God, don't even get me started about alcohol. Nowadays, a drink is like $20. I'm like, y'all are nuts. And I'm not.
No, it's true. It's true.
Thank God I don't go anywhere and I don't drink alcohol. But a lot of the time people, when they Uber Eats stuff, I'm like, dude, this stuff ain't that freaking special whatsoever. Every time I do it, ooh, this quinoa bowl, girl, make the quinoa at home, cook it with some broth, put some herbs in it. We're going to teach you how to batch prep your chicken. Doesn't matter if you don't know how to cook. Get a fancy seasoning blend. Oh my God, wow, this is so amazing. I never thought I could make this at home. The Uber Eats people are marking that stuff up. They're using cheap oils. The protein is a little teeny tiny sliver. You're not hitting your macros. So you're going to realize that you're saving tons of money because you built these systems of how to shop and how to prep your food. And you're not even going to want to go out and spend your money or waste it on all these other things. And also, you're going to save tons of money on these supplements that you don't need, that don't work. And you might not even really need any supplements, maybe some creatine and protein powder. But you're going to be living this lifestyle where the dollars that you're spending are actually going to the best place possible.
Agreed.
I love that because it also has these impacts, like when you do the real things to make you healthier for the long term, that might seem like a bigger upfront investment. But when you look at the bigger picture, there's what are you saving on food? What are you saving on alcohol? What are you saving on potentially medication?
Yes.
That has a cost, but also an impact physically, and something that you might be able to unburden yourself from. We've had clients come off of medications all the time, and we never really think about the impact of what that might have been to their budget, but we often think about it more from like the health benefits, right? But there's all these areas, the time investment, like how much more capacity you and energy you have in your day to maybe actually make more money because you're feeling better about yourself. You're feeling more confident. Like that's what happened to me. I actually went back to work after my mat leave. I was starting to feel so good. Within a few months, I ended up getting a promotion. And I'm like, things are a little different now. And I think it's just really important to have that bigger picture. Just because we're stuck in one way of thinking, you don't have to live there forever. You can start to shift your perspective into more of an abundance mindset, and it allows you to just invite those things into your life and try them on for size. Maybe it doesn't work for you. Maybe you don't like that. Maybe you want to go back to your scarcity mindset. Sure, you could do that if that's where you want to live. But it's so much better over here on the abundance side. And Mare, I think this is going to be a really good transition over to like the real ROI on transformation. Can we dive into that a little bit more deeply?
Yes, of course. So I am like a huge proponent of this, and I will die on this hill that investing in yourself is hands down the smartest move that you will ever make. Because when you do, it's like we've talked about, you're not just getting like, here's your program, here's your workouts, here's your nutrition. It's not what it is. It is that, but it's more. You're creating that ripple effect, Jord, that you talked about. That's going to impact every area of your life. And those returns multiply over time. So there's a few ways that this shows up. So first, let's touch on health. When you're fueling your body properly and you're training in a way that is designed for your goals, not a generic goal, you're going to lose weight and get stronger, sure, but you're now building energy that is going to carry you through your day. And so, when we talk about things like life stressors, my job stress, the kids, this and that, this is what's going to give you that resilience to help you get through that. So physically strong equals mentally strong. Jord, you also said this, you are also lowering your risk of chronic health issues, which could potentially save you thousands of dollars in prescriptions, treatments, things like that. There's that saying, if you don't make time for your wellness, you'll be forced to make time for your illness. This is what we're talking about here. T, did you want to add something to that?
Yes, I think health is obviously like the number one thing, but I want to speak to the people who are like, but I'm already healthy. Listen, you can't put a price on sexy. Like, I know that this is kind of controversial to say. A lot of the time we spend money, let's say those of us who really, we want to look hot. There's nothing wrong with that. And people, well, is that okay? Yes. Listen, even if you're a mom, I would say especially because when I had kids, I was like, I don't want to live this life where I'm constantly in this mom bun and messy hair and just look like a hobo. Like I want to actually feel really good. Like I'm also a 30-something-year-old woman, right? So there's nothing wrong with wanting to look hot. And how many times do we invest all this money in the Botox and the laser? And I love that stuff. Don't get me wrong. And, you're buying this expensive makeup and clothes. But if you don't really feel confident in your body, obviously it's an internal thing too, but you're never going to truly be satisfied. Like I'm telling you, when you are lean and fit and you have muscle, you are going to feel 10 times more confident really wearing anything. You're not going to try and hide behind like these makeup and these clothes to like make yourself feel good, because not only do you look good from the outside, but there's something to be said for I put in this effort and I'm seeing the effort in my body. That makes you feel good. You're like, yeah, no one can come at me with anything right now and upset me because I know the kind of person that I am.
Exactly. And that actually is a perfect segue into the second thing, which is relationships. So that's relationships with others, but also you just said relationship with yourself. When you're investing in yourself and you feel strong and energized and confident, you show up completely different in all the relationships. Like, let's talk about your kids, your family. You have more patience, you have more energy, you also have more clarity, because there's nothing worse than like being frazzled and then you're like, engaging in a serious conversation and you can't get the words. It's a terrible situation. So when you feel that strength, you engage differently. And yes, like you said, T, it makes you feel friggin' sexier and more comfortable in your own skin. And that's obviously good for your relationships, if you know what I mean. But there's nothing wrong, you're right, with wanting to look and feel sexy. Absolutely not. At any age. At absolutely any age.
And I can remember, I can mentally go back to that moment when I was feeling so horrible about myself, so unhappy in my body, and being like, I'm just going to try and make the best of it. And that's where I ended up going out and buying some clothes or buying makeup or trying to do other things externally to be like, okay, now I'm feeling good enough. And I'm not saying that's the language other people use. That's how I personally felt. And it's like, I'm good enough now, but it's not really where I want to be. And I'm doing these things to almost mask how I really felt. And so when I really got down to the root of it, it's like, I don't have to go and buy all these other things. I can just work on this area and kind of face what I'm really afraid of and build here. That's when things started to shift. And then you can have fun shopping again, and you can have fun dressing again. And then the makeup you do choose to wear, you're kind of like
just highlighting.
Enhancing. Yes. You're enhancing and you glow differently. And it's like, it's just a different thing. And it's such a beautiful shift to see that happen with our clients too, because you can literally see it in every like flex they do, in every check-in they do. Like you can see that transformation happen, and it's so freaking cool.
I love that. And also just a reminder, don't be afraid of hyping yourself up. I heard this quote that was like, when someone says you're so full of yourself, ask, well, who else should I be full of? It's so true. And I'm like, I love that for everybody. Like when you're secure about yourself, you want to hype other people up. Like when I see other people sharing their selfies, I never understood this whole like, oh, they're sharing a booty selfie. I'm like, good. Like, yeah, girl.
Like, how do I get those good?
Yeah, I know. Like, good. If you don't want to share a booty selfie, that's fine. But like, good for you. Like, I'm freaking happy for you.
Yeah.
And then the people that are hating on those people and saying things, it's their own insecurity, because no one fully secure in themselves would ever make comments about other people. So we just want to share that with you because we want to give you permission to think bigger as well. Like you can really get so many more things out of life when you elevate yourself to that 2.0.
Yes. And I have to tell you one small little funny anecdote that this conversation about relationships made me think of. So, Jord, you know how you said like you see a person like transform, right? And every flex they do, it's just different. So, you know, when you're in your own life and you're going through it, you do feel it to some degree, but it's really interesting when it gets reflected back to you. So I remember my husband saying to me like, you're just so different. Like you just show up so differently. So we had actually done a photo shoot. It was one of our photo shoots. And I was really happy with the pictures. And I was like, wow, these are great. But, you know, there was some like lingerie and stuff. And I wasn't sharing all of them. But next thing I know, my husband showed me his phone, and his cover screen is me in a very scandalous little one piece. And I was like, oh my God, like, don't put that on there. That's so weird. And he was like, no, he's like, I am so proud of you. Like, I am so anyway, it's very funny because he's many times at work, people will kind of catch a glimpse and go, your wife lets you put pictures of half naked girls on your phone? And Mike's always like, my wife. Mike, that's what he says. He goes, that's my wife. And they're like, what? And I think it's so cute. And I think it's so sweet because obviously the journey is for me, but it has definitely impacted our relationship in our marriage because I show up way more confidently, and he loves that. Like he wants a confident woman by his side. So anyway, I thought that was really funny. So if you ever get a chance to look at Mike's home screen, it's half naked me. Yeah. So
I love it. I love that so much.
Okay, last one, and then I'll wrap it up, Jordan. So last area is, what is the return on investment when it comes to your career or business? And you did touch on this a little bit as well. You're able to make clearer decisions. You're able to, you know, have that energy to lead at a higher level. So we've had many clients, not just you, Jordan. I love your story, but they've talked about how, you know, along this journey, they finally found their voice or got promoted at work or found the courage to actually step into other roles or careers that they didn't even like think about before or were maybe too insecure about. And this is how I found my strength. So I can speak to this. I left teaching and I stepped into coaching, and that was 1,000% because of my health and fitness journey. Because when I felt strong in one area, I was like, I want to feel like this everywhere. I'm not going to settle for anything less in every area of my life. Why would I? So for all of you listening, we want you to sit with this. Transformation isn't just about weight loss or looking a certain way. It absolutely is part of it, but it is who you become in this process. So the next time you sit there hesitating, you know, thinking like, ugh, what is this going to cost me? I don't know if I have the money. Instead say, what is this investment going to bring back to me in my health, my relationships, and my career? That's what we want you to ask yourself.
I love that so much. And I think that when we're thinking about investing in ourselves, I really want to leave you with these 3 lessons. And I hope this episode really has you reflecting on where you're at and how you think about investing in yourself, and not just on the financial side, but with maybe even time and energy and mind share too, because that's all very important part of this mindset shift. And it's, you know, these 3 lessons are: first, the shift from scarcity to investment thinking, and how do you invest in yourself and what is your worth in that space? And the second is to reallocate that money that you've been spending on Band-Aids into something that is actually going to be impactful for you and get you in alignment with where you want to be. And the third is that transformation ultimately compounds. It's the ROI that's going to forever give back to you in all areas of your life. And it really can't be the wasted investment on yourself. If I have money to invest, it's 99% of the time going to be back into myself and my growth because I know that that's going to be an exponential compounding impact long term. So before we close out, girls, would you like to add any words of wisdom to this episode for anybody out there listening that feels stuck in this area?
I feel like we've really hit it. Like investing in yourself is the best thing you can do. I don't think there's any other way to say it. You are spinning your wheels, which to me is like wasting money on a lot of unnecessary things.
Time is money.
Exactly. Invest in yourself the right way because that will compound. And ultimately, like, this is your life. You have one shot.
Shoot your shot.
Exactly. It will be uncomfortable.
Oh, that's a good point.
And that's normal. So whenever someone's like, I don't know, I'm like, that's the point because what you've been doing so far has kept you comfortable. Like I remember the first time I dropped several $1,000s on it, like a business coaching program. I was like, okay, let me just add up all my money from my checking accounts now. And it was like $7,000, which was a lot of money. I mean, it's always a lot of money. But yeah, I remember thinking, oh my God, like I've never done this before. But I knew, I'm like, okay, this is going to take me further. And that's why I need to do it. What's my alternative here? Just do the same thing I've been doing? Like, I don't want to live that life.
And I love that. Can I make one more? You just made me think of something.
Yeah.
You might also get pushback, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because the dynamic is comfortable right now with you doing what you're doing. So the pushback could come from a partner, a spouse, another relative. But I encourage you to do that same money and value audit, like across the board. It's interesting. I had a client tell me recently that, this was a no-brainer for her to invest in herself because she's like, when I thought about it, she's like, my husband spends so much on golf and beer and this, And she ran this list and she's like, and all I spend is my time on my kids. And I was like, boom, like mic drop. Thank you very much. And she's like, I don't feel guilty about this. She's like, I deserve this. And I said, hell yes, you do. Welcome to the team. So I think you really need to look at that too, right? Because I know we love our kids, we love our spouses, our partners, but we can't just be giving and giving and giving and taking nothing for ourselves. It's not fair.
Yeah, I love that. That's so good. And being uncomfortable to me, as we close out here, it's really, you have two ways of looking at something. And I think I've said this on the pod before, but I say it a lot when I'm talking to new people, is fear and excitement are opposite sides of the same coin. And your outlook on life, you get to choose what that is. And when you're heading into an uncomfortable position, you can be like, I'm excited for this. I've never been here before. Or you could be like, I'm scared shitless and I don't know if I'm going to do this. Like, it is really your choice. You get to choose the adventure of your life. And I really want to challenge you to choose a leveled up version because you're worth it. You deserve it. And it doesn't just mean to spend money that we don't have. It means reevaluate how we're doing what we're doing so that we can take the steps that we want to take to build the life that we want to build. And that is ultimately the message we want to leave with you today. So if you have a moment, please share this with a woman in your life because spreading this kind of message where investing in yourself doesn't just go along with how to get a better physique or a healthier life, but it can actually transform your entire life when it comes to safety and security of you and your family and how you actually look at your outlook on life as a whole. So share it with someone that you think would benefit from this message. And I want to challenge you to do that value assessment, that audit, and see how in alignment you are with your spending habits and your values in your life, because you might just surprise yourself where you can make some optimizations. And if you've learned anything from the episode or would like to share something back with us, you can always get in touch with us at getsculpted.ca on Instagram. We'd love to chat with you. We've had many incredible conversations lately, and we just want to wish you a great day and chat with you soon. See you later.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of Get Sculpted. We hope you feel inspired, empowered, and ready to take the next step in your fitness journey. Remember, building your 2.0 body is a unique journey for you. It's about showing up for yourself consistently and not being perfect.
If you loved today's episode, don't forget to hit subscribe and leave us a review and tag us on social at getsculpted.ca. Your feedback helps us reach more women like you who are ready to cut through the noise and make lasting changes.
For more daily tips, inspiration, and behind-the-scenes content, follow us on Instagram and check out our handles in the show notes below. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time on Get Sculpted. Until then, remember this: getting sculpted isn't about working harder, it's about working smarter.